We spend our whole lives chasing something: fame, money, achievements, or love. But then there are moments of silence in our minds when you suddenly wonder, why do I still feel like something is missing? If you have ever felt that you did everything right, yet still did not feel peace inside, then today's story might be the piece of the puzzle you've been searching for. Come with me to a small countryside village nestled among misty mountains and a bright green stream. There was a young man named Lucas, someone the entire village loved and admired. Lucas was not an ordinary person. Whatever difficult task arose, he would step forward. He was brave, determined, always standing up for what was right. People called him the Iron Heart of the village. But only Lucas himself knew. Within his heart, there was an emptiness that had never been filled. Despite overcoming countless challenges and building a life that many dreamed of, Lucas still felt as if something deeper was missing. Each night, in the quiet, he asked himself, "Is this all? Is there something more I do not yet understand about myself?" So one day, Lucas decided to leave the village and begin a journey with no clear destination, to search for the answer to that persistent emptiness. The only person he thought could help him was an old hermit named Amos, living in a wooden hut at the edge of an ancient forest. It was said that Amos was not only a wise man, but also a mirror for the soul, someone who could help you see the deepest part of yourself. Lucas did not know what awaited him, but he could no longer continue living with the feeling that something was missing. And that meeting completely changed his life. When Lucas reached the old wooden hut by the forest, Amos was sitting on a woven chair, his gentle eyes watching the last rays of sunlight filtering through the treetops. There was no formal greeting, no surprise. Amos just smiled softly, as if he had been expecting Lucas's arrival. Lucas, carrying the heavy burden in his heart, spoke, "Sir, I have worked very hard in life. I have strived continuously, never backing down from difficulties. But why do I still feel empty, as if I am living without truly being present?" Amos nodded slowly, not rushing to comfort him. He simply looked deeply into Lucas's eyes, then answered in a soft, hoarse voice, "My son, your question does not have an easy answer. But if you are willing to listen instead of only hoping to understand, then I have something for you to try." He stood, went inside, and brought out an old wooden bucket, weathered, covered in cracks and fissures. He placed it in front of Lucas and said, "Every day for the next 7 days, take this bucket to the stream and pour water into the well behind my house. That is all." Lucas frowned. "But this bucket leaks. How can I keep the water?" "I know," Amos said, "but just do it. Do not ask why. Just do it every morning." Lucas didn't understand, but his respect for Amos made him accept. The next morning he began. On the first day, Lucas went to the stream and filled the bucket, but halfway back, water started leaking through the cracks, dripping out drop by drop, until the bucket was nearly empty by the time he reached the well. He poured what little remained into the well, feeling doubtful. On the second and third days, the same thing happened. Even if he hurried, the water still leaked almost completely. He began to feel foolish doing something so pointless. Each step under the harsh sun made him weary, both in body and spirit. By the sixth day, Lucas nearly gave up. He sat by the stream, looking at the cracked bucket and feeling that he, too, was breaking apart. "What am I doing?" he asked himself. "Is it useful to strain to fill a well with a bucket that cannot hold water?" But then, something in Amos's gaze kept him from turning away. On the seventh morning, he tried one last time. Same bucket, same stream, same relentless leak. And this time, when only a few drops remained in the bucket, Lucas returned, sighed, and said, "I'm sorry. I have done my best, but I failed. That well, I cannot possibly fill it." Amos was not angry. He just nodded, his eyes gentle, then said, "No, Lucas, you did exactly what I asked. Now go back and look at the path you traveled." Lucas turned around, and he was stunned. The trail from the stream to the well, which had been dry and dusty on the first day, now bloomed with life. Wildflowers in vivid colors swayed in the breeze, grasses lush and green lining the path, as if an invisible hand had revived that barren land. How, how did this happen? Lucas stammered. Amos smiled. It was that water leaking, what you thought was useless, that nourished that land. Each step you took, though it seemed meaningless, was creating life. He placed a hand on Lucas's shoulder and spoke slowly. Life is like that, my son. Each of us carries cracks, mistakes, limitations, imperfections. But that does not make us useless. What we do, even if imperfect, can still nurture good if we keep moving forward. Lucas said nothing. But inside him, something shattered, not into despair, but into awakening. He stood in silence on the now floral path, as if truly seeing for the first time the road he had walked. The afternoon light cast shadows over each blossom, sparkling like nature's whisper. No step is meaningless. He turned to look at Amos, his eyes no longer filled with questions, but brimming with gratitude. I understand now, Lucas said softly. While I only looked at the well and saw my failure, I missed all the wonder blooming along the side of the road. Amos nodded, speaking in a voice warm like embers in a wood fire. We often become obsessed with the destination, Lucas. We think if we have not achieved something great, then we are failures. But sometimes the most precious thing is not where we want to arrive, but the trace we leave along the journey. Lucas returned to the village after 7 seemingly useless days, but his heart had changed. He no longer sought answers as before, because now he understood that some questions do not need explanations. They simply need to be lived, to be felt, to be walked through day by day, choice by choice, action by action, even when small. And sometimes from the cracks within us, the most beautiful things are given the chance to blossom. Conclusion and message to the audience. Lucas's story is not only for those feeling lost. It is for all of us, imperfect human beings walking our own journeys. If you have ever felt exhausted because you see no results, if you ever doubted the value of what you are doing, then remember that flower-lined path. Because the drops of water that seem to be lost may be nurturing a miracle you have not yet seen. And sometimes real happiness is not about having everything, but realizing that you have created something good, even when you do not know it is happening.